All right, so we're sitting here with Myles Hendrik, who is a photographer, DJ, and musician, and we're just going to talk a little bit about your work. So, do you remember what your first creative outlet was?
The drums. Yeah, I got a drum kit when I was 8 or 9. Very much a child with an imagination, and I couldn't really sit still. So I played a lot of instruments, but my first creative outlet was definitely drum kit. Yeah.
And obviously, at some point, you picked up a camera and found your love of photography. Could you speak to that, some creative outlet that it gives you and what it means to you?
Yeah, the camera came about because I think the drums were creating a problem for my neighbors. I really liked the drums, but also, we would go on family outings or vacation. I was always looking and I wasn't always that present. So my dad kind of handed me a little 35mm camera when I was probably 11 or 12. He just gave me another creative outlet that I didn't even know existed. So when I had the camera in my hand, I was just looking and searching the way my eyes would search. And then I think seeing the photos, that was, I did that. Like I took that and that's what I saw. And in fact, sometimes I would see more in the photo than perhaps I saw when I was taking it. Like I thought I was taking an image of something and then I would see it and I go, oh, that's what I was drawn to, was this thing in the corner that I didn't even notice.
Talking more about that, not to shift gears, but so you're also obviously a musician, a DJ. How did that intertwine into your love of working with a camera or shooting, or was it totally separate? Was it just an interest that you found one day?
I think they were separate in the beginning. When you play music or you listen to music, or at least when I listen to music, it evokes imagery. It makes me think of something or a place that I was when I was, heard that song. And I think when I take photos, to me, when I look at them, the ones that really, I go, that's the photo. They're musical because they're lyrical. They have a poetic movement to them. So to me, they're really intertwined.
So if we could, I'd like to speak to inspiration as far as location, Los Angeles in specific, or maybe other cities, different spaces you go to, and how that influences you along with the other things you've been talking about. Does the city that you live in or where you go influence your work?
Los Angeles specifically has spoken to me, like screamed at me since the moment I arrived. And I think when you grow up in a foreign country and these places like Los Angeles look like dreams to you. And I think somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I imagined that one day that I would be in all the places that the TV shows that I'd seen on our family television in the living room, I would one day be doing. So I have a love affair with the city.
35mm is obviously what you're most known for, but do you ever mess around with projects in medium or large formats at all?
I started shooting on such a small little camera that everything I'd ever shot was on a pocket camera. I never really printed anything except maybe just taking them to like CVS and getting a little roll of film. And then the first time I ever printed something this big or even this big, it took on another life to me that I didn't really even know existed in my realm, because at that moment I was focused on music. I started thinking, do I need to, am I now a photographer? Do I need to change the game, And I didn't really think at that time, or even now, that I kind of do. I think it's the same way that you create music. If you create music, if you're writing a track and you're writing it on your laptop and using GarageBand and you're not using anything fancy, but you're still writing the song, that's really all that matters, really. And the tools are handy. I wouldn't say I didn't go to photography school. I just picked up a camera. I learned some basics. So yeah, I don't think it's really about the weapon you use. I think for me, it's the eye. When all the protests were going on, and I'm not a protest photographer, that style is not really me, but I wanted to be part of it. It was happening and it was so vital that I was involved. So I took my camera and I took my little camera. And it affords me the freedom that a slightly larger camera would not allow me, because then that camera becomes the conversation.
Now, if we could, I'd like to talk a little bit about your most recent collection that
Okay.
you've been working on, and a little bit about that, its themes and what it means to you.
I think when I was looking to find images for this, it's hard because I go out with my camera every day and I shoot, I don't know, 10 rolls a week, and then I look at them, and then I never really thought of them as a collection. I think my photographs have a certain look, a certain style, so even if they're of very different themes, there is a tie-in there. And I think when I look at the 5 images that are in the show now, I think there's a tension, and I think without really even realizing it, I picked 5 images that kind of speak of where we're at now, in this moment of really profound change.
What are some of the new projects you're working on next?
Well, I had a show planned earlier in the year in May, and that was postponed, obviously, until we're looking at September now. It's with Maxfield. It'll be my first real solo show of photographs, but I guess my main project right now is having my first baby, which is far more daunting than a show, but yeah, they're kind of gonna work together.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's a hell of a year. I love it.
Yeah, it's all coming at you at one time.
Yeah, I like it like that. I like it all at once, and wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely. It's been great talking with you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.